G'day and welcome back for more Space Engineers Survival. Last time I placed this cargo container right here because I thought if I placed it in the wall it'd pop out through the rock, but I was actually wrong on that. And that means I can rearrange this conveyor system such that I should be able to get this LCD up on the wall fully, as I plan to do, get it across all 6. But before I go taking all of that apart, and it is night time, so there won't be any vehicle construction today, I'm going to try and work on the base a bit more. But before I start working on that bit of conveyor system, what I'd like to do is try and clear up all of this stuff. And I think we're actually closer to the assemblers than I had initially realized. We should be able to, if I grab my drill, get through from here. If I think I want to go under this. Oh, there we go. So you can already see the assembler's right there. So I should be able to bring that conveyor system up into the main hallway with very minimal fuss. And I'm going to drill straight under the center so I don't accidentally stuff up my window plans for the sides of this hall, as I want to have the windows showing a little bit of rock through them. And there we go. Now we can see that conveyor. So we should be able to run straight under here, over, around, and onto this block here. But we'll get rid of that armor block. And I want to do this with the pipes. The reason I want to use the pipes is, unlike the normal conveyor system, with the pipes, I can actually walk in the cube that the pipes are in, which is very handy when you're building sort of service access tunnels. So once I place those blocks down in there, I'll still be able to get in and around down there, which would be very, very useful. And on that topic, let's get a few things built. So I'm going to use one of my new assemblers since I'm actually going to get rid of the current one that's there. Let's get a couple of conveyor pipes to tubes, and we're going to need probably 20 of those will be close enough. Remember, we've also got this assembler just constantly producing steel plates. In terms of our ore, I wonder how we're actually going. Let's go system inventories. Okay, got a bit of magnesium. Let's get that cobalt into these arc furnaces. Oh, the arc furnaces have almost completely done their nickel, and this refinery's got nothing in it, so let's move those down to the refinery. Let's share this cobalt amongst these 3 arc furnaces. Oh, wanted more than that. So that we can get them, so we can have them still working once that nickel is gone. Alright, that's balanced. At some point I'll add a script to the station that makes these balanced, but for now this will work since I don't actually have all that much in terms of minerals. Anyway, right, I need a bunch of construction components and a couple of those, so we can place down these blocks and see where we're going to go. Hop down in the hole. And need a normal conveyor junction there. Followed up by a conveyor pipes to tubes, and let's rotate. Oh, what am I doing? Ah! Nope. Yes, there we go. Finally got there. Follow that one with a pipe like so. And a straight one onto that. And now a curved one here. Then it'll be a straight shot down to where we'll need to replace those other conveyor tubes where they are at the moment. And here you can see exactly why I did this. If I'd put normal conveyor tubes in here, I would have had to start at one end and build them one by one. Whereas this way, I can actually wander the whole way through here without any problems at all. And now that I've done that, what I think I might do is actually get rid of this. And start moving a few of those pieces into here so that I can clear my inventory without going all the way back. Because I want to actually start grinding down these ones right now. Alright, with that gone from there, we can then pop a conveyor junction in here. Hopefully I'll have the parts. Yep, good. And from the conveyor junction, we can then go back to our pipe system. And we'll need another another pipes to tubes here as a junction. And that'll connect those up. And it'll be simply grinding all these ones down and doing the same connection to there. But for those ones, I do still want to try and push that the cargo container. Wow, I can't talk this morning. Hey, push the cargo container into the wall further. Because I can. I'll make the symmetry. I do like a bit of asymmetry in my builds. I find it makes things more interesting. But in the case of these hallways, I think having that extra space, and more to the point, being able to upgrade my map once I get some better aerial photos of the area, that actually is a good reason to do it. So with this end, if I'm going to move the cargo container back one block into the wall, I'm still going to need a conveyor tube down here, a conveyor junction, as I think that'll be the easiest way to do this. I could probably do it with pipes, but I think the conveyor junction will just be that much easier that it's the better way to go. So we place our conveyor junction here, get rid of this one. We can see our cargo container above us. Then we need one of these in there. And we should be able to access those steel plates. Yes. Oh, there's no steel plates in it. No! Well, that's annoying. Alright, so we got our pipes like that. I need to find one of those corner pieces to fit in here, which should be the one at number 9. Like that. Now I just need a whole huge pile of large steel tubes. We should be able to get this conveyor system all hooked up again. Let's get all these large steel tubes into here so we get this connected all up again properly. And that is connected now. And we just need to finish off these bits and we can remove all of those other conveyor systems. Alright. So what we've done is replace all of those other conveyor systems that were above the floor and the ones that were below the floor with the piping system. We'll move that cargo container shortly. Everything should be connected up. This is going into the med bay. All of this goes down to our assemblers down here. Though there is one pipe missing, which is the one at the back of the assembler. So if I grind out a couple of these, should get enough parts to have everything connected in just a second. That's welded up, and I'm about to run out of hydrogen. Let's hope I did put the stairs in at the other side. Yes. Alright. Everything should be connected up again now, even though we removed all of those conveyors. So I can remove this whole long row, which is awesome. And then I can start welding up this floor. Yes. Good, good. Alright, now it's time to rearrange this a little bit. I'm going to grind out this wall piece just so I've got access and can shuffle everything between two completed cargo containers so that I don't have to hold it all in my inventory. It'll make my life a bit easier if I build this one first. So as you can see, all of this is rock around here except for this bit. But once I put this piece back in, it'll work out just as I want it to. And small cargo container complete. Let's bring everything across and grind this sucker down. And there we go. Embedded in the wall the way we want it. And I want to replace this with an inverted corner. And I want it this way around? Yeah. There we go. One for the floor. And now... Oops. Whoopsie. Now we can put these in and I'll pick up those mess that I just put on the floor. Ah, there we go. Alright, so that's back that way. Grind out this block. And in its place, we will put a conveyor junction. Why won't it let me place it? Oh, it will. Weird. Looked red. So with a conveyor junction in there, we now have a different option in terms of winding this piping around, which we didn't have before. So before, when I placed this up against the roof, we had to go all the way across to that extra block, but now we can come one block closer, which will make this all be out of the way of the LCDs that I want to put on this wall. The downside of what I've done here, though, is that while I've made room for the LCDs, there's only one spot on the roof where lights can go now. And that's a bit of a problem. So, while before we could get lights in the center, but we couldn't get the LCDs, now I have nowhere to put lights on the roof except for this single block right here. So I'll probably put a corner light in there at some point. Okay. That's fully connected back up. Let's go grind down the other pieces. Then we'll see what we're going to do next. So this has opened up a fair bit from where it was. I actually don't mind those pipes there at all now. Because I'll be able to get my wall of LCDs for my map in, I'm pretty happy with this. Next thing I got to do is grind down all these other conveyors out here, so I'm going to do that. We've now got almost all of the hallway back, which is great news. Walking through the base now, we have space. I can now have... I've got some ideas of how to redesign this little area. I should probably finish those doors before I do anything much more. The cargo container's set in the wall, so I'm happy about that. Once we get some decent aerial photographs, I'll turn this wall into a map wall. This corridor is now nice and open, ready to be welded up, with all of our conveyor system under the floor. And I can finally fix up all of this stuff as well. And how did I manage to leave that? I wonder if I can get rid of it. Yep. So, we're going to probably jump a little bit ahead. So we're going to jump ahead after I've welded up a few more of the blocks around here. I've had a lot of steel plates constructed while we've been waiting, so I should be able to get a decent bit of this hallway done, as I'm liking having a bit more of this base actually finished rather than under construction with grids everywhere and girders all over the place. Okay, now that we've welded up most of this side of the hallway, you can kind of get an idea, or a better idea, of what I was going for when I originally laid this out. So you can see that these glass panels kind of show a hint of the rock through them. And I also decided I'd add these half block corners up the top for a bit of extra detail. and they'll feed into the detail that I'll put into the roof as well. My plan is to match this on the other side as well, and once I figure out how I'll do the med bay and living areas, they'll come off this side most likely. Probably I'll make them come off opposite this doorway, and then we'll end the hallway somewhere around here, depending on where the hangar and garage come up and where we need a lift for those. I haven't got a great handle on exactly where the hangar's going to come up, because I don't know exactly where it'll end up drilling into that wall of the mountain. But I'm pretty happy with this look. We're definitely going to need some ceiling in here so we can get some lights in. Walking around with my headlights, not as interesting as having lighting actually built into... Oh, I didn't replace that wall. It's not quite as interesting as having lighting built into our base itself. While I was doing this wall, I also rearranged the way that this door was set up. Previously, it was set up so that the blocks lined up perfectly with the wall, but it actually looked a bit bland with this big white box around it. So instead, I flipped it around, and on the other side, to still have that same indented effect, I placed the 2x1x1 tips in those corners. So it ended up looking quite good. I'm actually really happy with how that turned out. So that's something I may consider using in other areas where I want an indent on both sides. Fortunately for the refinery room, I do want this to be flat. How many more steel plates do I have? Do I have enough to start welding up a bit of that next corridor as well? Let's have a look. Steel plates. So we've got 144 there and 302. Not very much. And how much iron do we have left? Okay. Not a great deal. Looks like we'll be mining again tomorrow. But something else I would like to do for tomorrow is set up this assembler to make some ammunition. We're going to need that ammunition because I'm going to upgrade the tick for the morning. Now that we've got a decent amount of construction done on the base, and while welding this up, I also finished that 4th battery, so I've got 4 batteries on here ready to go and get charged. I think it might be time to get onto those upgrades I was talking about for the tick. And the upgrades that I want to do involve, well, something a little bit special. What I want to build onto the tick is an ability for it to do short hops or potentially even longer distance flying. And I'm not going to do that in the standard way. I'm not going to build thrusters in every direction. I'm not going to make it so that it can fly using lots and lots of power. What I'm going to do is just make it so that it can at least hover. And how I'm going to do that is actually using the vector thrust script. So I'm going to need somewhere to attach a rotor on each side so that this thing can fly using that rotor. And I think we should be able to get away with it on the side here. So what I'm going to do is create a little nacelle on each side of the vehicle. If we grind out that block and grab a rotor, place it in there. So place the rotor in there. Then on that rotor, I'm going to add an armor block. If it'll let me, which it won't, right? Oh, there we go. So we'll place that armor block. And let's just force that rotor to be at its maximum displacement so that it sticks out, so that it can actually freely rotate even though those other blocks are right there. Then on this block, I'm going to place a couple of thrusters. These thrusters, using the script, will be all I need in order to hover, because I've already got a bunch of gyroscopes on this vessel. We'll do one set on this side, and we'll do a matching set on the other side. I want this armor block spacer because this might be a little too close and might get cooked by the thrust from it, but also I think it might make it easier to build some sort of styled armor around this engine nacelle rather than having it directly attached to the rotor head. So build the same on this side, and we'll jump ahead to when that's done. Now that we've got these thrusters on both sides, and 4 should be enough to lift this thing, at least when it's not fully loaded with ore, we now need a programmable block for the script to run from. I think the best place to have that programmable block will be underneath, as I can't really think of anywhere else to put it that won't get in the way. So we'll place it just in front of this antenna. Okay, now the programmable block's done. I probably shouldn't stand myself up while I'm underneath the vehicle. That was a bit silly. Now, we're going to do this in the style for vanilla. I haven't added any mods. We're just going to use the script. The script can also function with a mod block so that you don't have to set up the controls yourself, but we're not going to use that. So we'll grab our programmable block, the usual edit, browse workshop, and vector thrust 2. Okay. Check our code, compilation successful, and it's these commands here that we're going to have to add to our G menu. The % standby, dampeners, jetpack, raise acceleration, lower acceleration, and reset acceleration. So we'll remember an exit. No screens available, but that's okay. What we're going to do now is go to menu 2, press G, select our programmable block, run. We're going to start with % standby. We'll see if that works. If we press it and then go to our programmable block, it's on standby now. So the other commands that we needed to add, I can't seem to remember. So we've got dampeners and jetpack. We'll do those first. Direct down there, run. % dampeners, confirm. Confirm. Alright, so we've got our controls set up, and we just have to kind of remember which one's which on our hotbar there. It's still late at night, so I'm not super keen to take this on a full-on test drive just yet. But something I should do anyway is add a screen to give us some of the details from our script's output so that we can see it, particularly when we're in first person. So if we pop a couple of things here, we'll eventually add maybe another script and screen to the other side. But we'll just put one screen on for now. So we'll get a text panel. Pop that in there. Now this text panel will need a particular name, which is somewhere in the documentation here. Let's see if I can find it. So here we go. So we need to have % vector LCD in the name. So we'll go to our LCD or our text panel. % vector LCD. And then when we take it off standby, it should show up on that screen, and we can see we've got our target acceleration of 1g, our thrusters are false, our dampeners are true, and our active nacelles are 2. So that's one on each side. Our target acceleration can be changed with 5 and 4, so we can increase it and decrease it. We can increase it or decrease it and then click 6 to reset. If we turn 1 off, it goes into standby, back on. 2 will turn the dampeners on and off, we'd rather leave them on. And then 3 will allow us to actually control this like we'd control a normal ship. I'm just pressing spacebar to lift, and you can see that I can actually carry this ship. And as I tilt, as long as I keep myself balanced left and right, these engines will keep me at a hover, even if I turn the ship like this. So you can see that the nacelles are still pointing downward. This is the cool thing about this script. I only need a few engines on this, and I'll be able to fly it at least short distances. It's probably not the best idea to use up all of the power flying it, just testing it right now. So let's pop it on standby. Park again. Let's have a look at these nacelles and see what we can do to make them look a bit better, because right now, well, they don't look good at all. Wonder if we do something like this. I'm just going to have to try out a few things, so I'm not sure what's going to look best here. If we place a couple of flat blocks like that, and then armor slope tips like this. Because these nacelles weren't really planned in the original build, I don't think I'm ever going to be really happy with how they look, but they do function, and I'm sure I'll figure out something better in the future, but for now this will have to do. It's not something I'm truly happy with though. But it is kind of fun to play around with the vector thrust script. Anyway. Now, while I was making these, I did come up with an idea that I think will make me a little bit happier with how these look. And that's using these little pieces to fill in the holes, so that it's a bit of a smoother finish on it. Yeah, I'm a bit happier with that. Still not exactly the best looking thing, especially as they are very much tacked onto the side and not remotely planned out when I started. But not too bad, hopefully. Yeah, the left side looks much better than the right, so we'll do that on the right as well and jump ahead to when that's finished. Slightly armored nacelles, they're not going to be able to protect themselves in any meaningful way. If they get shot, I'm going to drop like a stone, but they're not there for battle. What they're there for is for getting up things like this valley here, which I couldn't get up using just the wheels, but now that I've got those thrusters on there, I should be able to make it up relatively easily. And as the sun is rising, we should soon be able to test that out. See if we've got any of that ammunition made. Oh yeah. Let's go pop that ammo into our... Oh. Ha! Before we do that, let's just make sure that our Gatling turret is not targeting neutrals, as I'm not sure if any of the structures here will count as neutrals, particularly the ones that were there when I started the scenario. Alright, the turret is on. I think it's light enough for us to do a little bit of exploration. We're not going to go too far. Hopefully we won't run into anything nasty. But what I'd like to do is take advantage of... Actually, we can probably put this on jetpack off. Oh, what have we got? I've got dampeners true, thrusters false. Yeah, that's what I want. Now, I should hopefully be able to get most of the way up here. Let's just turn this on. Let's just fly. There we go. Get up this valley. And... oh, need to turn. I'm going to have to get used to flying like this, where I have to use Q and E to turn. Well, I wasn't expecting this sort of terrain on the other side. I hadn't really thought about it much, to be honest, but kind of thought we were heading more up to a plateau. So I'm going to land over here so we don't run out of battery power. And We'll turn off our thrusters. Now we can drive on our wheels. So that is what I wanted these thrusters for. Just for those quick little hops so you can get past terrain that you otherwise wouldn't be able to. And something that I was thinking about when I started worrying about exploration in this vehicle was it might be worthwhile building myself a bit of a cave. So if I'm rushing back home and I haven't yet got enough defenses back home, I can instead head to that cave where anything chasing me won't be able to directly shoot me, and I can try and carefully pick it off with me at getting the advantage of having cover. Not sure how well that will work, but if we dig a cave into one of these valleys down here or something, it might be a reasonable defensive strategy to protect my base if I do happen to do something silly like get a whole bunch of enemies or even a single enemy chasing me that I can't manage to shoot down. And if I eventually keep that little cave with a cache of construction components and other things I'd need to repair my gun, as my gun's the most likely thing to get destroyed, if it gets damaged, I can run to cover, repair it, come back out, attack again, and keep doing that until I eventually take down the enemy. So I think right where I am might be a good spot for something like that. If I dig into this wall here, so let's create a GPS marker. This will be for the safety cave. Oh, not with a capital A. So I'm going to dig out that. Hopefully this will actually work. It's not going to be pretty, but let's see how big we need to go. Oh, going to need a bit more clearance than that, aren't we? Oh, I might be making this a bit small for what it needs to function, for its function, because I'm going to have to potentially drive in here relatively quickly. And if it's this small, that might not work so well. Oh, that wasn't a good idea. I was trying to make this smoother using the left click drill to just take off little bits. I ended up digging a trench. So I seem to have dug a little too deep in some spots, so I'm probably going to need to get some steel plate in here in order to make this so I can really drive in. But I think you get the idea of what I'm trying to achieve here, which is some way to hide out from an enemy so that I can slowly pick them off without them having easy shots at me. So I can kind of kite them all the way back here and then pick them off at my leisure, or sort of. At least make it a little bit more so that I'm not bringing the enemy straight back to base, as I still haven't got any defenses there. But I'm kind of interested in exploring anyway. So I think that'll probably be big enough in the end once we get the other bits in there. If we drive a little ways in, we can check. Oh yeah. That'll get us under some cover, and then I can dig out more once I bring the steel plates back here. So this is the little valley we need to come back through. And I might be going a little quickly. We may not need the thrusters to get back down like we needed them to get up here. Let's put the script on standby so those rotors lock. Oh. Okay, that's pretty steep. Let's take the script off standby. Let's turn those thrusters on. Let's fly down there because that's a bit steep. I don't like the look of that. Turns out there was never going to be a chance for me to actually fly, well, drive all the way out of the valley through this little section here. Or did I come back through a different section? Oh, I think I've come down a different one. Oops. Well, that would make sense. And standby. Yeah. Okay. This thing works. I'm pretty happy with it. Does look a bit funny with those extra little nacelles, but it's functional. And it can get me out of the valley. I don't think I'd like to mine with a vector thrusted vehicle. I think that would be all kinds of pain and horror. But what's going on with our batteries? Is that script not updating? No, seems to be fine. Oh, now it's showing charge. Okay. Wasn't showing me charge before. It was showing orange. And we're completely out of iron. So let's go quickly do a couple of runs to get a bit more from the mines. Take advantage of our renamed control block. Let's put the battery on our... Oh, let's disconnect first. Let's put the battery on our hotbar. And that'll be recharge on and off, because it's currently set to recharge, which means I can't take off. Let's go grab some iron. So we still need a whole lot more. I think I might need to take this thing out to that cave to drill it out. It's going to be way too slow to do it by hand. I could take one trip and probably do it in that much less time that it'd be worth it. Oh dear. Oh dear. No, 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 no. Oh, am I stuck? Oh no, I've done something bad. Done something very bad. Turn off the thrusters. What's happened? Ooh, we just had enough parts to build that connector. Alright, let's... Hey, what have I done? I've wedged it. Alright, I'm going to need to drill this out, I think. Alright, that looks more level. Let's see if I can get back control of it, turn my thrusters on. Okay, phew. That was a bit close for comfort. I think it may soon be time for the upgrades to happen to this ship. If I'm going to have to mine every single day, I really need a ship that's going to get me a lot more minerals than what I get on a single load with this. The ugly duckling. Soon I'm going to have to figure out how to make you a swan. Okay. I think that's a bit more likely to be effective. Hopefully that's deep enough in and we'll be able to smooth out the floor with any plates where we need them. Let's head back. While we're out, might as well go grab another... Oh. Hang on a second. Let's check what's in this deposit right here. So if there's iron here, this might actually be closer than our other iron mine. Let's have a look. Turned on. We've got magnesium. Nickel. And what's the other thing? It's going to be silicon, isn't it? Yep. Magnesium, nickel, and silicon. And all the other ones are probably further away. So let's go to our usual one. Oh, no, don't turn off the thrusters. Oh, jeez, turn off the detector, you dope. I can't believe I just did that. Turning off the thrusters mid-flight is not a good idea. Oh, where am I going? Wait, what have I done? Where am I? Oh, geez. I'm all the way over here. I've flown. Okay, so this might be a perfect example of my terrible sense of direction. I'm not quite sure how I managed to do that, but I managed to go all the way around my mine. I keep thinking that one valley is another and stuff it up. This time, don't break your connector, okay? No connector breakages, and we'll be okay. Back home, battery's on recharge. Gotten a couple of trips worth of iron, so that'll hopefully help us. Because I think the next thing we should do is upgrade the miner. Having to do several trips for only a day's worth of refinable materials, that's probably not quite quickly enough for us. And I don't think there's going to be enough light left in order to get the tick, have its safety cave finished, and go and search out an enemy base. So that'll be for the next day if we can get the ugly duckling turned into a swan in time. I think today's been pretty productive, especially as now you can see what I had in mind for this corridor, and we got all of those connectors out of those conveyors out of the way. And if we have a look, we've actually accumulated a lot of components, so hopefully that'll be enough in order for us to get the ugly duckling upgraded without having to wait on too many components. Hopefully I'll come up with a design that actually is worthy of calling it the Swan rather than the ugly duckling's bigger brother, but we'll find out. So there's the upgrades, there's the tick searching, and plenty more to come, and I'll see you then.